All right, we are back. The Open Floor NBA podcast, the post-trade deadline edition of
Who
the
knew
Open Floor.
I would be so excited to be doing this show?
Very excited to be talking about a non-trade in Milwaukee, but as you just alluded to there, a big deal for the Washington Wizards. What a month.
Yeah, man.
Is this the biggest month in the history of the Wizards franchise?
No.
What was the biggest month?
When they won a title, Chris.
Oh, yeah, you got to wait back for that. I'm thinking I should have asked.
The Clippers haven't won a title. There's teams that have not won a title in this league.
The Bullets won the title. I'm just calling them the Wizards. In the history of the Wizards,
Can we change the name back now? Has it been enough time?
Yeah, the Wizards doesn't really do it for me. The Bullets are fine.
I don't get it. I feel like they should ease it in. They should do like some throwbacks that say Bullets on them.
They don't even do those throwbacks, do
and
they?
then just keep kind of
see what the reactions take the temperature. Maybe?
Yeah, more and more.
Yeah, Bullets is a better name. I get it. But,
yeah, but it's after the bullet train. It's not after an actual bullet.
I know that, and you know that.
I mean, the Clippers are after a ship. Some of these names don't mean anything anymore.
Hey, the Utah
Jazz.
Lakers.
Right, the Lakers, the Minnesota Lakers made sense. The Los Angeles Lakers do not. When's the last lake you went to out here?
Any good jazz clubs in Utah?
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I get it. I'm with you there. I would go back as well. Maybe like the Washington Amtrak's or like the...
That would be bad. Look, it's bad.
Washington trains.
But it would be better.
Not as bad. No, that's a tough one. All right. Well, we got to start then talking right out of the gate about your Wizards, who pulled off maybe the most interesting trade of the deadline. Acquiring Anthony Davis in a multi-team, multiplayer deal. But the only player that matters in this exchange is Anthony Davis, who goes from Dallas to Washington. And the only assets that matter in what they gave out are the 2 first-round picks that they surrendered. Of which,
they matter?
I mean, it's the most significant asset that the Mavericks get out of it. They get a 2026 Oklahoma City pick.
It's not nothing. You're right.
Not nothing. And then 2029 or 30, I forget which
30,
one.
I think.
2030.
Top 20 protected.
Golden State pick that is top 20 protected. So you are basically getting Anthony Davis for 2 picks that at best are going to be somewhere between 20 and 30. If you're Washington, I think
those aren't Washington's picks.
Right.
So they're not giving up their own picks to do this.
But if you're Washington, I think you're ecstatic today.
I am.
I understand.
As someone who grew up in Washington, D.C., Chris, am ecstatic today.
I understand.
Absolutely what is going on.
I understand that Anthony Davis has plenty of issues. It's what cooled the market for Davis over the last couple of weeks. But if you're basically getting Anthony Davis for free, you got to jump at that opportunity. And I'd reported during the week in the aftermath of the deal that, look, Washington wasn't even out there looking for Anthony Davis. This kind of fell into their laps where Dallas was like, all right, is there a conversation worth having about Anthony Davis? Washington was among the teams that was talking to Sacramento about Domantas Sabonis. There were several teams talking to Sacramento about Sabonis. And I think Dallas caught wind of that. And when Dallas knew Washington was interested in Sabonis, I think Dallas was like, hey, are you also interested in Anthony Davis? And Washington said, like, yeah, but you're not getting player X, Y, and Z, and you're not getting draft pick ABC. Like, there are certain assets that are not on the table. But if you're willing to continue this conversation, we're interested in Anthony Davis. Dallas was willing to continue this conversation. And look, the Mavericks were able to clear their books. They gave a bunch of, quote, bad contracts back to Washington. They get 2 first-round picks that are dressed up with 3 second-round picks. So there's an argument they can make at a press conference. But this, to me, was a free player for the Washington Wizards. They got an all-NBA forward for the cost. What's a famous cuisine in D.C.? Give me something that people eat in D.C.
Crabs. Maryland crabs.
Maryland crabs.
Maryland
for the
crabs,
cost
baby.
of some good Maryland crabs. That's what they got for them. What do you think?
Look, you said ecstatic. Absolutely. This is fantastic. Look, we talk all the time about different players and how much they're worth, right? And to me, a lot of it is about fit. It is about when you say Anthony Davis, 10-time All-Star, but Anthony Davis hurt more than he played for the Dallas Mavericks, right? It's all about the lens and the fit and what you're talking about. When you get a player, as you say, for basically free as you get in the NBA for this kind of player, absolutely. Okay, if he's hurt half the year next year, great. You get half a year of Anthony Davis. So not something you expected. If you paid a high price for this guy, if you promised this guy an extension, which there is no reporting that they have done,
No,
then
I can tell you they have not promised him extension.
okay, there you go. So considering that, great. Let's say you get, for a team that is depending on Anthony Davis, 50 games is a disaster. For a team that is like, oh, and Anthony Davis, sure, I guess throw in one of those. 50 games of Anthony Davis is fantastic. Let's do it. Let's go next year. He's going to be a great guy for Alex Sarr to learn from and talk to. The two of them playing together, I know people are sort of concerned about that fit. If you need to platoon them, you can, but I actually think them playing together could be interesting. And, you know, again, Trae Young, kind of similar situation where it's sort of like, great, should you overpay for Trae Young at this point? No, I would not. Did they overpay for Trae Young? Not even remotely. In fact, there's a lot of people upset in Atlanta that they didn't get very much for Trae Young. These are two really savvy moves that help them bridge the gap from a team that has been, frankly, over the last few years, Michael Winger came in there, Will Dawkins came in there, and the mission was to totally reset the franchise. So for the first few years, it was, let's get some high draft picks and have some learning for our younger players. I like to say it's not tanking, it's winning is not the primary goal. That's how I like to phrase it. And now that they have done that, they hopefully will keep their pick in this draft. It is top 8 protected. So I'm looking at you, Brian Keefe. Just keep that in mind.
Brian Keefe just taking bullets for this team to bring back bullets. Like
just saying.
He deserves hazard pay for the last couple of years.
He's a great guy, by the way. I really like him.
Pride of Massachusetts. Let's go.
There you go. You know, as long as they keep that pick, and it, you know, at worst, this is a draft that has 10 good players at the top. I know the top 3 or 4, depending on where you think the shelf is, the drop off, whatever, but it's not a deep drop off. There are a lot of guys in this draft that will help this team next year. As long as they keep that and they go into next year now with the idea of like, hey, let's be scrappy, let's be feisty, let's get into a play-in. That's not a position this team has been. Someone on NBA Reddit, and I've not fact-checked this, but it feels right, as someone who grew up in that area, feels right, said that this team has not finished with more than 50 wins in the last 47 years. That is my suffering, Chris Mannix. And I want you to know that if we do that next year, if they can, I mean, they're not going next year more than 50 wins, but if they are on the road to that, there are a lot of people in DC who are going to be happy. And by the way, you talk about Brian Keefe taking a lot of bullets for this team. Washington fans, and you know I'm always concerned about the fans. We're going to talk about that with Giannis in a minute. It's been hard. And the idea of getting to watch Anthony Davis and Trae Young play basketball is fun. And I say it all the time here. NBA teams, it's great to win. I love it. These guys who we all cover and like get championships, they get rings, they get shiny trophies. But these games are played for the fans who pay the tickets, who watch on TV. And making a fun product for them is important because not every team, most teams will not win a championship. So there you go. They've done both of these things. I'm very excited. Can you tell?
Yep. I agree with everything you said there. They're not going to be touting this group next year as a threat to win the East.
No.
I think they believe that if you close your eyes and squint, you can see a top 5 seed amongst them. You get everything go right. Trae Young plays 70 games.
Tremendous
AD plays
health
70
from
games.
everyone, yeah.
Bilal steps up. Bub Carrington steps up. Alex Sarr steps up. The next kid they bring in is ready to play. You can see a top 5 seed maybe in the Eastern Conference. But the point is what you said there. It's be competitive. Like these teams over the last few years that these guys have been a part of, they have had win totals that look like locker combinations. 35, 18, 13. They're going to be a sub-20 win team again this year.
From your lips, Chris Mannix.
At some point, they've got to step on the gas here and start playing competitive basketball. And a healthy Trae Young and a healthy-ish Anthony Davis can help them play winning basketball, can get them into the postseason, and give these guys the kind of experience they need so that in 2028 and beyond, when they're starting to hit their prime years, this team's maybe ready to turn the corner. Now, how does it work with Davis? Like, I think Trae Young knows what he's signing up for, and Trae Young is a little bit younger than Anthony Davis. But Anthony Davis has 2 guaranteed years left in his contract. One's a player option, but that's his option. So 2 guaranteed years at huge money. Made no secret that he wants to get a contract extension. I think he'd probably take a contract extension in Washington if that came about. How does he respond to all this? Like, is he going to be the good soldier that Washington needs, or is it going to become acrimonious at some point? Like, it shouldn't. Like, you got 2 full years left in your contract, but the entire league knew that AD, whoever was acquiring him, was going to want a contract extension. And the Wizards, who this deal, by the way, came together in like 12 to 24 hours. Like this was fast. This was a bullet train, so to speak. This was a fast-moving,
A theme of the day.
fast-moving train there. Like, I wonder how AD approaches this. This is not a preferred destination. And while it's in the best interest of the Wizards to be competitive, to get these young guys experience, for AD, who's going to be 34 years old, I think, in a month, he is looking for more at this stage of his career. I think that to me is my question. I think I know how Trae Young's going to respond. I think he's going to be fine. But AD, how does he respond to that?
I think Trae Young, I agree with you on Trae Young. First of all, I think he and Alex Sarr could be really fun together.
Yeah.
And the defensive problems that the Hawks had with Trae was partly not putting the guys around him that made up for his defensive weaknesses and his height. And Alex Sarr certainly helps do that. So I think it will not only be something that Trae knows what he's getting. He knew what the market was for him. He's a mature kid at this point. And I think that they're going to give him a contract extension. It's the open secret. We all know that.
Maybe,
So-
I would say...
okay, maybe I shouldn't say that.
I would say if they're not in a position to draft a point guard with a top 3 pick, I think then they do. If they...
Or he opts in, right?
Well, I think one way or the other he opts in.
That's
You're right.
sorry.
It's
I
more of a-
shouldn't have been so flippant the way I said that.
Yeah.
I meant that he will be on the team next year.
He will be on the team next year,
Yes.
unquestionably.
And that I think he's excited. I spoke to him. I was with Trae in Washington, D.C. a week and a half ago. He is legitimately excited. This is not an act. AD, I'm sure, is not excited this morning. I doubt that he woke up excited. However, I think if he is smart and if Rich Paul is smart, this is an opportunity. And yes, I know it was acrimonious leaving New Orleans, but that's because he had much better things on the horizon. And he knew that if he forced his way out of there, he could go somewhere where he could be successful.
Teams
a
fighting
team
for him
that
back
wanted
then.
him, that would do everything to get him. And guess what? It worked. They won a title. Now, Rich Paul has to be honest with Anthony about what the market was for him. It's not, oh man, what a disappointment, I ended up here. It's like, hey, these guys actually traded for you and nobody else was going to. And so the move here is to be a good soldier, to actually buy in, not in a fake way, but in a real way. And look, if he's healthy and he plays well, I'm not sure he's going to be with the Wizards 2 years from now. Maybe they spin and turn him into something else and he can go to a more competitive team. This could be an image rehab stop for him. And when I say image, I don't mean in terms of his character. His character is fantastic. I mean in terms of his injury and his health and how people look at him. So I think it's about being honest with yourself. I think Anthony is at a mature point in his life and career. And I'm going to have faith that he is able to look at the situation he's in and play it for the best he can.
Yeah, I think it was an A+ week or month, I guess, for the Wizards.
I agree.
2 veteran players.
What a
at
great
very
sentence
low
to hear
cost.
you say, Chris. I have not heard you say all those words together in a sentence in the
hard
entire
to.
time I've known you.
to go back to the
and it's
Scott
been
Brooks
a
years.
long time.
The old Scott Brooks years of competing for something real. But Washington, you may have some hope down there.
Yeah,
for a
baby.
competitive team. You know what I've been getting into lately? I have been loving watching The Day of the Jackal. Great show on Peacock. Eddie Redmayne, I'm into it. The only issue is it's not technically available in Saudi Arabia. And because of boxing stuff, I spend a lot of time in Saudi Arabia. However, I've found a sneaky workaround. Today's sponsor, Surfshark VPN. A VPN is a virtual private network which allows me to mask my real IP address and even replace it with another IP address anywhere in the world, which essentially means that I can pretend to be in the US with just a few clicks of my mouse. And just like that, I'm able to stream The Day of the Jackal, great show, to my heart's desire. Go to surfshark.com/openfloor or use code OPENFLOOR at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Surfshark has a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can secure your privacy with go to surfshark.com/openfloor for 4 extra months. All these links will be available in the show notes of this episode. Go to surfshark.com/openfloor or use code OPENFLOOR. Let's talk about your next favorite city and your next favorite fan base.
Yes.
The Milwaukee Bucks
They are.
and the city of Milwaukee, which is going to have Giannis Antetokounmpo around for at least a little longer. Attempts to trade Giannis ultimately fizzled. I wrote about this on SI.com this week. I do think the Bucks came into these talks in good faith. Like, I don't think that they were just going through the motions. I think if there was a team out there that could have given them the kind of package that they said they wanted, like they wanted, and they were telling teams this, young players, draft picks. Golden State had the draft picks, didn't have the young players. Minnesota had a young player they wanted in Jaden McDaniels, didn't have the draft picks. Miami had a kind of sort of mix of both, but it wasn't enough to rise to the level that Minnesota or that Milwaukee was going to do this deal. And failing that, there's no harm in sitting and punting this decision down the road, because Miami, Minnesota, Golden State, they're all going to be there. They're all going to be there in June. The Knicks might be there. The Lakers might be there. Unknown Team X might be there. That fizzles out in the first round of the playoff. This was a smart move by John Horst and that front office. I know it's not, there could be some uncomfortable conversations that take place over the next few weeks, especially if Giannis really wants to come back.
Which he says he does.
He says he does, but that is not in the best interest of the Milwaukee Bucks. Like, the most important draft pick for Milwaukee is this one, this 2026 first round draft pick, which could be top 5, top 10. Who knows how the lottery gods are going to look upon you. But I think this was the right thing to do for Milwaukee. There wasn't an overwhelming offer out there for him. And if there's not, you got to put this in a drawer and try again this summer. The stakes are too high when it comes to Giannis.
Look, I don't think the Milwaukee Bucks want to trade Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't think there's anyone who disagrees with that. Do you think the Milwaukee Bucks are like, man, let's trade Giannis. Let's get this guy out of here?
No, I don't.
No. The only reason the Bucks were talking to other teams about trading Giannis was because pressure came from Giannis's side. That's it. That's the only reason. No one woke up in the Bucks organization and was like, man, this exceptional player who's beloved by the fans, who is the best thing that's happened to us since Kareem 50 years ago, let's get rid of him. Nobody said that. This was because of pressure from Giannis' side. And I understand why that is confusing, because Giannis then goes out and gives all these interviews about, I want to play here for the rest of my career. I want to stay in Milwaukee. I want to retire as a Milwaukee Buck.
Man, he wants it both ways. He wants it both ways,
He posted on the internet the minute the trade deadline passed, the Jordan Belfort, Leo DiCaprio.
Didn't do that.
I'm
Didn't
not
do that.
Xing
Didn't
staying.
do that before, though. Didn't do that before.
So I
think he had 2 posts ready to go. Like, what if he got traded like a goodbye to you?
Look, what's hard is...
My singing voice right there.
That was, by the way, I was going to let
Is that
that
like Michelle
go.
Branch? Did I just throw out there? I think I did, yeah.
I don't. I was going to let it just pass without comment.
I'll take the L on that one
nobody
myself.
needs to hear that. Look, I have a lot of, as you know, I don't think there's been a bigger advocate for Milwaukee keeping Giannis, no matter what, than me. I think they should just keep him until his contract's up, basically. I think if you have to walk away and take a loss on him, you do. That's how special he is to your
crazy, but
city.
go ahead.
Okay, but I want them to keep him, right? I have been a huge advocate for that. There are people on social media, and I like to engage on social media with fans. It's in good discussions, who are just so upset that the media is talking about trading Giannis. The media made all of this up. The media is talking about trading Giannis. The media is talking about trading Giannis because the Bucks are talking about trading Giannis. And the only reason the Bucks are talking about trading Giannis is because Giannis's side, and didn't have to be Giannis in particular, that's what agents are for, were pressuring to get him on a team that's a winner. And if you look at all of his quotes the last couple days, he's saying, I want to stay in Milwaukee. I'd love to retire as a Buck. I want to win. If you can tell me we're a competitive team.
Yes,
if you can
there's the
tell me
caveat.
that we're going to win. And I think it's hard for Giannis, who's being completely honest. I think that is actually how he feels. He doesn't want to leave. He'd rather stay and win. But if the two options are stay and don't win or go somewhere else and win, guys, he clearly has decided it's go somewhere else and win, at least right now, because again, no one woke up in the Bucks organization and on their own said, I'd love to trade Giannis Antetokounmpo. It had to come from somewhere. It came from his side. Now, has he reconsidered as it got closer? Did he feel more uncomfortable? I have said to you for a long time, I don't think Giannis is ever going to be able to, quote, ask for a trade. I don't think that's in his nature. I don't think he wants that on his record. And so I wonder if, as things go forward, that feeling of his, of just not being able to pull the trigger and leave, is going to come to the fore. And maybe they talk him into another extension. I have a CBA question for you. Can they extend him right now?
I believe they can extend him right now. If he was traded,
but can
once
they?
He's traded this, yes, they can extend him right now.
This is the only thing I want to say. If you post, and I love Giannis, he's just so fun as a player. He's so fun as a person. I love all of it. But if you post, can we curse? I don't even know. I'm fucking staying. And you throw quotes out there of I want to be a Milwaukee Buck for life. Sign an extension now.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's go.
What are the odds you think that
Nothing
happens?
would make me happy. Literally nothing would make me happier. I love him on the Bucks. I love him with that team. He's already won a title. I understand the need to want another one. But come on, man. The relationship there is so special. He brought it up. He's like, it's not just the team. It's Milwaukee. It's Wisconsin. His children were born there.
Yes, he said a lot of things, powerful things, and I agree with them, but I do think he wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants to have it both ways. He wants to get his trade, but he doesn't want his fingerprints on it at all, even though, to your point, the Bucks are not engaging in these conversations if the message is not being sent to them that Giannis wants them to engage in these conversations. So
there is zero reason for them to have any of these talks if it's not coming from Giannis' side.
Now, I would argue, I agree with you, but I would argue they should be having these talks anyway because I think.
Well, you think they should have had them last summer?
Look, to me, if they wind up with a top 3 pick, if the lottery balls fall their way. By the way, the lottery room this year, the drawing room is going to be electric. The number of teams represented, the Knicks rooting against the Wizards, the Thunder rooting against the Jazz. We'll talk in a minute about Indiana in that room with the Clippers. Oh, I always go into that drawing room. This is the year to go into the drawing room for sure, just to see how that whole thing all plays out. I just look, if they get a top 3 pick and then you can trade Giannis for a ton of assets, like that is the kind of like, to bring in another sport, the Herschel Walker type rebuild package that you're looking for. Because all of a sudden you can get a Debanza, a Peterson, a Cam Boozer, whoever is available at the top of the draft. And then you get 4 first-round picks, a Jaden McDaniels type. Maybe if you do it with the Lakers, Austin Reeves can be part of that mix. And all of a sudden, you're a worse team, but you got some direction. Like right now, they're just trying to duct tape this thing together, put enough Band-Aids on it to make it work. I don't even know if that's possible. I think the Bucks, who can trade as many as 3 first-round picks in this draft, I think the Bucks are going to be proactive in trying to bring a piece in to try to get them. I just don't think there's a piece out there that gets them to that next level. I don't think Giannis, Miles Turner, and player X that's available for 3 first-round picks gets it done. And I think they have a chance now to sell on Giannis, not at the high point necessarily, but when they should. Because these calf injuries would scare the crap out of me if I'm a team acquiring him. 4 calf injuries in 2 years. These are real. And I've said and written this before. Coaches that I've talked to think that Giannis needs to be treated like mid-career Shaq, where you have to manage him. You have to, watch his health.
Sure.
Make sure he's not playing so many games, so many minutes.
Yes.
He's still an inimitable force. Like he is a two-way
He's
giant.
having the best offensive season of his career.
Two-way giant. I'm agreeing with you on that. But if you're the Bucks, I just don't believe you're going to be able to put together a championship team with the assets that you have. And if you have a chance to get that kind of rebuilding package for Giannis, whether or not he wants out, I would still do it.
Why are you in such a hurry to rebuild? So you're not going to win the title.
You're not going to win the title anyway.
That's my point. You're not going to win. Okay, great. Let's do it forward in your scenario, right? Your worst case scenario is that they keep Giannis. He has calf injuries. Maybe he blows an Achilles, something like that, right? This is you're saying that's your worst case scenario?
That would be my worst fear if I was the Bucks, yes.
Okay. They keep Giannis. He does sign an extension there. The team is never going to compete for a championship during his tenure again. That's your worst fear.
Yes.
Okay. If I'm a Milwaukee fan, I would rather have, okay, we're not winning a title for the next 5 to 7 years. You know who else isn't winning the title in the next 5 to 7 years? Most teams in the NBA.
Yeah, most teams in the NBA have direction. Like you're aiming in direction. That's what the Clippers just did, gave themselves direction.
Why is direction more valuable than a franchise player that is literally going to go down as one of the 2 maybe most important players in your history? That has a relationship with the fans and the team that will fill seats until the day he walks off the court. Why is a direction more important than that?
Because you're not winning. Winning and like the goal of winning a championship
if you're
should be the
rebuilding
ultimate
over
goal.
the next 4 to 5 years, you're not winning then
right, but
either.
at least you're giving yourself, you're seeing maybe a light at the end of the tunnel.
Why is a light at the end of the tunnel more important than having
Giannis?
Giannis?
Celtics. Paul Pierce was a top 5 Celtic maybe of all time, one of the all-time greats, and I think they were a second-round playoff team when they traded him. And they said, you know what, Paul? Thanks for doing all your course. Let's get ourselves a package of picks. Let's get Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and let's get the next championship team built.
You cannot compare that situation. First of all, they also traded Kevin Garnett. My God, Kevin Durant. They also traded Kevin Garnett. They also got a historically bad Brooklyn Nets decision to give them all of that stuff. The Bucks are not going to walk into that situation. And also, they had to have historically bad decisions from two other teams making other trades that turned into Jason Tatum, et cetera, or picking Markelle Fultz at the top of the draft when they knew that Jason Tatum was the right call. It is not an equivalent situation. You cannot keep going back to that. If you are the Milwaukee Bucks, if you are a Milwaukee front office person, if you are a fan, if you are another player on that team, I'm looking at my options for the next 4 to 5 years. That's it. Let's look at the next 4 to 5 years. Are they winning a title in the next 4 to 5 years? No, Chris Mannix, they are not. I'm sorry. Whether they're rebuilding in your scenario or keeping Giannis in mine. So which version would I rather have? I'd rather have the giant of a player and person and community member of Giannis and then start rebuilding. Great, fine, okay. It's going to take you X years to get back into contention instead of 5 years to 8 years to get back into contention. You still would have had Giannis for all that time. I'm taking it. Titles are not guaranteed.
Coming from the Wizards fan that probably thought it was a good idea to let John Wall and Bradley Beal degrade in Washington.
I wouldn't have given John Wall and Bradley Beal necessarily the contracts or the no trade clause that was given. And by the way, this current front office wouldn't have done it either because they traded, Beal out of town as soon as they could and got a great package for him for what they had.
Yes.
Look, there's personnel decisions along the way every time. But by the way, I think John Wall was wonderful for Washington. I was just with him. The reason I was in D.C. and talking to Trae Young was because I was with John Wall for his John Wall appreciation Washington Wizards night. It was fantastic. I love seeing John around the city. He meant a tremendous amount to Washington.
Tremendous, I agree.
He's not Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's not. I'm sorry. Yes, the goal is to win, but most teams aren't winning. Most teams haven't gotten close to winning in a very long time. Sometimes the goal is to have a wonderful experience as a Milwaukee Bucks fan.
Nobody wants. I don't want a wonderful experience. Wonderful experiences are overrated.
Man,
forget wonderful experiences.
You're so cynical.
If you're not on a path to a championship, you're on a path to nowhere, Rachel. Man. Nowhere. Ticket sales mean nothing. Nostalgia means nothing.
Okay, so
loyalty, if it comes, as long as, look, the loyalty an NBA team owes the player is paying out that contract. You owe every nickel to that player. That's what's collectively bargained. But everything else, that's on the table.
So if you're on step 2 of a 100-step path to a championship, you'd rather be there than on step 65 but not moving forward? You'd rather be there. I mean, I'm going to even put them further. Step 75. They've got Giannis Antetokounmpo. Who knows what could happen? You'd rather be on step 2 than step 75, even if step 2 is taking a step forward and 75 isn't?
Because I think step 2 might get me to step 76. Step 75 up there might be the ceiling for that team. Right
Great. Now. That's your ceiling for 3 or 4 years. And then go back to step 2.
No. Let's move on. We got off track there. I still think the most likely scenario is Giannis gets traded in the offseason. That's probably what's going to happen.
I will say, if I'm John Horst and I see Giannis make that post and I watch him basically a little bit sell out the front office by being like, I want to be a Buck for life. It's my
whatever.
They
just woke up, like you said, like they're like, yeah, we're going to trade Giannis.
So if I'm him, my next phone call to Alex Saratzis, his agent, Giannis's agent, is great. I was so thrilled to see Giannis's comments and his Instagram post. This is amazing. Let's get this extension done.
Something tells me that's
okay.
Not going to be. I agree with you.
But then you've had that conversation. I'm not joking. That is what I would do.
Yeah.
Because then you have had that conversation. And if he turns down, wait, slow your roll. We're not doing an extension right now. Great. You get to walk out there and say that.
Yeah.
And not right now, but eventually you get to walk out there and say, hey, we offered him to stay. He said no.
All right. Let's talk about another blockbuster deal that got done this week. And that is the Utah Jazz and Jaren Jackson Jr. uniting. Memphis trading Jaren Jackson Jr. for 3 first-round picks. Decent haul for the Grizzlies.
Sure.
2 of those picks, I think, in 2027. People aren't that enthusiastic about the draft, but they get another pick a little bit further down the line. Jaren Jackson, he is one of the first proactive, get a player positive trades the Utah Jazz have made in recent history. They have been rebuilding for multiple years, just like the Wizards, but they go out and get Jaren Jackson Jr. Now, I like this trade. I don't necessarily love this trade. I'll tell you why I like it. I like it because they're getting a guy who they never could have gotten in free agency. Jaren Jackson, just about to begin the first year of a 4-year contract. He's under contract, I think, till at least 2029, player option on the back end of that. Same situation with Lauri Markkanen, locked in until 2029. So you've got two cornerstone all-star caliber players locked in. Keontae George is on a rookie contract. They can extend him. He's locked in. So you got point guard, two forward spots locked in. I'm a little concerned about the fit. I don't think that Jackson and Markkanen are great offensive fits, but neither one of them is a center. And I'm not really here for the let's put Lauri Markkanen back at small forward argument.
I know
like,
you're
I think
not.
that's I'm not seeing that as feasible. The other thing is Walker Kessler. Walker Kessler's going to have a market this summer.
Yes.
Like, even though he only played 5 games this year, the year before that, he was a double-double machine who led the NBA in offensive rebounds. There are many teams out there that are going to be kicking the tires.
Someone just made a big run at him. Who made a big run at him?
Was it Indiana before they did the Zubac deal? Someone is going to put a big offer on the table if the Jazz don't before free agencies. You're probably going to have to pay like Walker Kessler $20, $25 million per year. So now you're talking about a front court, which is all-star-ish, making $115, $120 million, $95 million combined between Markkanen and Jack. That's a lot of money. And then Keontae George is going to be owed a lot of money. So now, like, your books are getting tied up with some really good players, but you still don't have that one great player. Maybe it's Ace Bailey. He turns into that guy. Maybe you keep that high draft pick. He turns into that guy. But I don't love the fit in that front court because Jackson, we've seen, cannot be a center. Lauri Markkanen, I don't believe can be a small forward. So now you're going jumbo lineup with Walker Kessler in the middle. I understand you can stagger all these guys. The coaching staff knows what they're doing.
I like let's see the jumbo lineup.
You want to see the jumbo lineup?
I always want to see.
I mean,
we're
trending back towards big, right?
Yes.
It's double big now across the league. So hell, triple big.
Let's try it out.
I like the deal. I would have done the deal if I was Utah. I'm not overwhelmed by how the fit works. I'm also not so sure about the timelines of all these guys because you've got Jackson at age 26, Markkanen at age 28, prime years right now. Meanwhile, Keontae George is 21, 22. Ace Bailey is 19. Whoever they draft is going to be 19 or 20. Kessler's kind of in the middle at 24. It's a little bit of a two timeline thing going on.
Not.
Kinda.
I don't. When did team building get to this? So many teams have passed.
Two timelines doesn't work.
Two timelines is 12 to 15 years apart, right?
Two timelines-ish.
A bunch of guys under 26, 27 is not two timelines. We call that a young team.
It's a young team, but they are on different stages of their respective careers, these guys.
Of course, you want that. You don't want
as long as
everybody.
it intersects at some point. As long as it all comes.
You
to
want guys who are more veteran and leaders. And by the way, I don't mean 32 or 34. I mean 26 or 27. You want guys who are learning from them and are younger and have all the things younger guys have. I don't see a two timeline problem at all. I think the Jazz bought themselves some optionality. Maybe Walker Kessler does go somewhere else, right? Maybe the three bigs doesn't work and they trade him for someone. I mean, maybe they turn him into something else. Maybe there's all kinds of options they have now. They weren't going to get a Jaren Jackson Jr. on the free agency market. Now they have him. They have him, as you point out, for the next 4 years. Lauri Markkanen has been languishing on that team that has been trying to not win for years now. It's been just so confusing. That's why people keep saying, oh, he'd be a good fit here, he'd be a good fit here, because why are you keeping this guy who's so valuable when you're not trying to win? And now it looks like, just kind of like we're talking about the Wizards, they're ready to be competitive next year. I'm thrilled for Lauri Markkanen, who gets to experience that with this team. And let's see what they get to do. I think it was a good move for them. It gives them more optionality going forward. They are a team that cannot get guys on the open market the way some of these other teams can. Let's see. I think it's great.
Yeah,
and by the way, I'd like to talk about the Memphis of it all.
Yep.
Because Memphis decided, clearly, we're going full rebuild, right? The Desmond Bane thing was a little bit of a hedge. This was, here we go. I think they got great return for Jaren Jackson, as they should have, by the way, but it was a smart deal. They got what they needed. It changes what they will give away or what they need for John Morant. Going into, and we'll get to that in a minute, but going into this trade season, we were talking about John Morant and Memphis looking for picks for him, right? Looking for good return for him. Nobody was interested. Here's how you know no one was interested. John Morant, not in another uniform. Here's how you know no one was interested even once the return they needed shrank. Because after the Jaren Jackson deal, they didn't even need a pick haul. They basically just needed someone to take him, right? And still, John Morant is not in another new uniform. Brian Windhorst got on TV and said he's a negative trade asset that other teams were saying you've got to attach a pick to him. You have said nobody wants him. There's plenty of other people out there saying, I believe Shams came out and said that no one made a serious offer.
No one made, as far as I know, any real offer. Like, I agree with Windhorst. I don't know if you needed to attach a draft pick, but you weren't getting anything more than a matching contract back in return. And even Memphis, which, I don't know, they kind of have a bit of an issue now with Ja because I know he's injured at the moment. Do you consider him done for the season? Do you revisit this at the end of the year? I mean, they're kind of in a bit of a predicament, but there was nothing. There was nothing out there for him. Like, no market whatsoever.
So if you were counting on Ja Morant for your rebuild, it was a mistake. And that's basically what they acknowledged here. They were like, okay, I guess Jaren Jackson Jr. is what's going to fuel our rebuild, and that's what they're doing.
What do you think of what is going to be a historic tanking stretch for the next couple of months? Because you've got the Washington Wizards who have no incentive to win.
Correct.
The Utah Jazz have no incentive to win. The Dallas Mavericks now have no incentive to win. The Milwaukee Bucks, if Giannis is out, have no incentive to win. In fact, these guys are incentivized, in the case of a couple of them, Washington, Utah, to lose. This is going to be something that is going to be front and center, not for a couple of weeks, but for a couple of months. We're in early February here. This isn't a team or two teams tanking down the stretch to, what Dallas did to get inside that top 10 the last couple of games. This is going to be a biblically bad tanking season. Like, what do you think the NBA's reaction to this is going to be?
You just said the right word, though, incentivized. They're incentivized to do this. I don't think the NBA gets to complain about teams operating within the rules they have set up. And I don't mean the front office, I mean the owners, right? The owners were the ones, the ownership among the NBA, while being progressive, and I really applaud that, has been so reactive ever since Kevin Durant signed with Golden State. Kevin Durant signs with Golden State. Let's make sure that never happens again. We're going to create a supermax. That brought its own problems to teams who were suddenly on the hook for these gigantic contracts that didn't pay off. This doesn't work. Let's try to create the most recent one, basically a hard cap at the second apron, and let's do this, and let's make this so restrictive that you'd have to do this to do this. You are not giving teams enough avenues to get better. You're just not. Teams no longer have as many avenues to get better. And especially teams in markets that aren't as strong appeal for free agents. So if you're not giving them avenues to get better, if they really can't get better through free agency, this is it. They are incentivized, in your word, to do this. And until the NBA changes the incentives, until the NBA opens up more paths for teams to get better, this is what you're going to get because teams want to get better. Teams are under pressure to get better. Owners want them to get better. This is a classic case. This is where I say, if ownership at the NBA level wants to get players to play games, especially major TV games, and stop resting, you know how to do it? Walk down the hall to your general manager and say, no one's resting anymore. That's how they could do it. But they don't want to do that because they want their players to rest. They want their guys to be fresh for the playoffs. If you don't want teams to tank, don't create rules that require teams to tank to get better.
Yeah.
I don't, the pearl clutching over this of, oh God, what are the next few months going to be like? Historic tanking.
It's gonna,
oh, okay, then take away some of these restrictive rules.
Yeah.
And the overreactions we've seen.
I think the most interesting team in this stretch, I think, is going to be Utah. If you're Washington, AD's constantly hurt. Trae Young has been hurt twice this year. Fine. Keeping Giannis out, I might do it anyway just because 2 calf injuries would terrify me.
He wants to play in the All-Star game, according to lots of reporting.
That is not a good idea. Utah, I'm curious to see how creative they get. Lauri Markkanen, Thursday night against Atlanta, played 23 minutes. 23 minutes in that game. He was 6 for 12 from the floor, 3 for 5 from 3. This is after he played 27 minutes and they beat Indiana in a nobody wants to win that game bowl. Indiana, the team, incentivized to lose. They're going to be faster. Like Jaren Jackson Jr. is also healthy.
I was going to say,
like he's also
that's more of the question for me. Washington, I think, is going to be fine because you've traded for guys with injuries. You've traded them for next year, clearly.
Yes.
I don't know how you say to Jaren Jackson Jr., hi, healthy guy.
Healthy guy who's already got his contract.
Right, who's already got his contract. So it's not like Larry Markkinen where you can be like, we'll reward you. These guys, this is major parts of their career. These are stats that they want to get. They want to go out and play basketball. That's why they're there. Giannis clearly wants to go out and play basketball. I think that's going to be the interesting part to watch. The fact that so many teams are going to be basically sanctioned tanking. You don't like it? Don't make this the only path to get better.
Yeah. Bryce Sensabaugh played more minutes Thursday night than Larry Markkinen.
I mean,
Larry Markkinen, 23 minutes, 18
everybody
points.
knows he's a
I'm
better
like,
player.
was he in foul trouble? No, it wasn't in foul
Nope.
trouble. Just 2 fouls,
Nope.
5 rebounds, 1 assist. Did he have turnover problems? Nope, just 1 turnover in that game. Larry Markkinen played the least minutes of anybody in what was an already reduced rotation. Kyle Filipowski played 28. Cody Williams, whoever that is, played 38. Isaiah Collier, 48 minutes in this game. Ace Bailey, 40 minutes. Svi, I forgot how to pronounce his last name. He played 23 minutes. They've got some guys they're just playing. This is gonna be something to watch down the stretch. Like does Utah send out like Larry Markkinen for like token appearances, Jaren Jackson token appearances, and then down the stretch they just bench these guys and see what happens. It's a long season, man. It's a long season. We're just a little over halfway through.
Are we? I feel like the All-Star game is always the 2/3 mark.
We're 52 games through, I guess, so about almost 2/3, I guess, in that range, but still a long way to go.
Yeah. I mean, a big chunk of the season. A third is a lot. Third plus is a lot.
It's a lot. All right, let's talk about one of the more fascinating deals that I thought, and that was the Clippers-Pacers swapping Ivica Zubac for Benedict Mathurin and 2 first-round picks. And it's the picks that are the most interesting. One pick in particular, which is...
These are good picks, by the way.
These are good picks, and one
This
could
is
be
not
a
like the
great
Washington
pick.
AD deal.
No, one could be a great pick. One of the picks that the Clippers acquired was the Pacers 2026 first-round pick. It is a heavily protected pick. It is protected 1 through 4 and 10 to 30. So what it means is if the Pacers, the ping pong balls fall, the Pacers draft 5 through 9, which is very possible because there's so many teams that are crappy around Indiana. If it falls 5 through 9, it goes to the Clippers. If it doesn't, Indiana still gives up a pick in 2029, but whatever. That's a little further down the road. This is the Indiana Pacers rolling the dice. Like they are just crossing their fingers and hoping that the lottery gods are favoring them because I think this is a good deal. Zubac is a 28, 29-year-old center coming off a borderline all-NBA season last year, one of the best defensive bigs in the league. Not a three-point threat like Miles Turner was, but a very good player in a lot of other areas. You bring in Halliburton back next year. Pascal Siakam is an all-star this year. There's still a window for you to get back to the finals. This is them rolling the dice. If it turns out they get the 4th overall pick, it's a phenomenal deal. It is a tremendous deal, regardless of the 2 picks in 29 and 30. But if it goes the other way, where they get the 5th overall pick, there's going to be some cursing in that front office. I can promise you that.
Yes, sure. They'd rather be lucky. Of course they would. They'd rather not give away that pick. But Indiana is doing something I love, and I wish more teams did. When you have a guy like Tyrese Halliburton, who, granted, I mean, he's not the greatest basketball player to ever walk the earth, but I think he has shown, finally, proven to people who were doubting him, how good he is. And not just as a player, but as a leader and how much he makes other guys around him better. When you have Tyrese Halliburton, who has proved to you and your franchise and your fans, I can get you to an NBA Finals. And I'm telling you, you and I were both at Game 7 of the NBA Finals. I absolutely think that game was trending Indiana's way. It just felt like in the building that game was trending Indiana's way before Tyrese got hurt. And he was playing great in that game. They had a lot of emotional momentum. You saw the Thunder guys starting to get tight. I am not saying the Thunder didn't earn their championship. They did. But absolutely, I would walk away from that game if I was the Indiana front office being like, we make this team a little better. We could absolutely win a title. And they're going for it. Zubac is them going for it. Them saying, okay, if we don't get a great draft pick this year, if it ends up we gave it away, that's fine because we're trying to win right now. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I think if they end up giving the pick to the Clippers, I would not consider that like, oh my God, they lost. I think it is a mitigated risk because you're going for it right now. I think Zubac makes that team better. I think that team looks good for next year. You just enumerated everyone they have. and you talk about the East, and yes, if Jason Tatum doesn't come back this year, he's coming back next year. Boston made their team stronger. I put Indiana up against them. I think it's exciting. I love it when teams do this. Let's go.
Zubac making $18 million this year, $19 million next year, $21 million in 27, 28.
Fantastic team-friendly contract.
Great contract. It's a great contract.
And I know he regressed a little bit this season, but I think that was within a scheme. I mean, you can't. I just don't think when you're playing.
It's a weird. Like it is a weird fit. Like, and look, Rick Carlisle will undoubtedly have some changes to make to the lineup, but that team flew around last year, and that's not Zubac's game. He's not a three-point shooter yet, although I imagine this offseason he's going to spend a lot of time behind the three-point line. So it's a little bit awkward with the fit, but you do that to me every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
I believe in Rick Carlisle. I mean, this guy has gotten multiple very different teams deep in the playoffs, multiple to the finals. And
look, it's a good deal for the Clippers as well because, look, Mathurin, whatever you think of him, maybe you can turn him into a serviceable starter. I don't know. But at the very least, you are getting 2 first-round picks, which will eventually be unprotected if it's not this year. 2 first-round picks from a team that may have a shelf life.
Yeah.
Like over the next 2 or 3 years.
Sure.
Does Siakam get too old? Does Halliburton, how does his game age? Indiana's not a free agent destination, so it's unlikely that they're going to be able to sign somebody. Maybe the front office gets... I don't know. But to get 2 quality first-round picks for Zubac after you made the deal for Garland. Now you're talking about Garland, Mathurin, draft capital.
Which they didn't have before.
You're starting to pivot.
This is a team that was very pick poor.
Yeah.
So while draft picks are not everything, I do think for a team like that.
Good draft picks especially. Like if you're at the very...
that's your avenue.
Yeah, that's the way they can bounce back. I do wonder now, what does Kawhi Leonard do here?
Is he under investigation?
Everybody's under investigation at the moment.
Okay, so he could get penalized?
I don't know, but
I really don't know. I was under, and I don't know why I was under this impression. No one's told me this, but I was under the impression it was a team violation of a rule. There are
teams that I've talked to
that was being investigated.
There are teams that I've talked to that believe he should, if it turns out that they have evidence that something untoward was done, that he should be penalized as well. And that's much too much of a shroud to give up any kind of assets for him before the deadline. Now, maybe this plays itself out in the summer. He's fine. Then maybe you can have a conversation. But does Kawhi Leonard want to be part of what the Clippers are doing? We know that he likes to play in Southern California.
Likes being here.
Like, is there a Laker deal that could be had?
Maybe.
Between those 2 teams? Does he want to just kind of spin his wheels while the Clippers
I'm not sure the Clippers are giving the Lakers Kawhi Leonard under any circumstance.
But, like, does he want to go somewhere else with a year left on his contract and try to win there, like have another 1 year and done, then go into free? I don't know what his thought process is, but that's going to be interesting what they do with him because now they are clearly going the rebuilding route. They have no incentive to tank, obviously, because that pick goes to Oklahoma City, but they are obviously pivoting and going in a different direction.
I'm very curious to see what happens with Garland. I mean, it makes me uncomfortable. And Darius Garland, very nice guy. This is not a knock on him personally, but he is a small guard who has an injury history. And, Kirk Goldsberry has been talking I feel like I heard him say this months ago about small guards. The trend is just away from them in the NBA. I mean, obviously we know we're moving toward bigs in general, but just the toughness, the injuries, what happens. Jalen Brunson obviously is an exception right now, but Cleveland gave up on him. Say whatever you want. Cleveland gave up on him. And I think Cleveland got better over the next year or 2.
I don't look at it as the Cavs giving up on him. If Garland was the Garland of last year, I don't think we're having this conversation today. But he has been injured all season long, and the pressure on the Cavs to win this season is huge.
Yes, Donovan Mitchell's contract. I agree. But I just, man.
Look, they sold probably low on him.
Yes, they sold low. And I don't know if they sold low because they had a different set of circumstances, just like the Wizards have done with 2 teams so far over the last month. You take advantage when other teams have face pressure to do something that's unusual and lets you get someone for low. But I don't know. Maybe he's going to be fantastic here in LA. I don't know. I'm just saying it makes me nervous, and I hope it works out for everyone involved because you don't honestly like to see players injured.
It's just about like this season. Like for the Cavs, it's this season or bust. Like if they don't get Donovan Mitchell, convince him that staying is the right. They're rebooting this whole thing. They're trading Donovan Mitchell, and then they're going the rebuilding path.
Get it. I think it was a deal that the Clippers had to make when presented with it because hey, the upside could be great. But I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work out. I can't say it.
We are never going to agree on this particular topic.
No.
But
that's why this is such a fun podcast.
I'm sure we'll revisit it
Yes.
somewhere in
Like
the next couple
Giannis.
weeks. Giannis too.